It's not uploading. Just give me a minute to put this up again. Okay. There we go.
Welcome to Digitability. We are excited to share 3 ways that families can support your learner to be work ready. We're looking forward to covering 3 of the best evidence-based strategies for supporting special education students to help provide you with an understanding of how these practices are used every day by educators. We'll begin this presentation with a quick introduction to the Digitability framework. The problem Digitability is solving is the drastic unemployment rate for people with disabilities. You may be familiar with the term, the cliff. This term denotes what happens when students exit the school system and stop receiving services. However, Digitability is catching students before they fall off the cliff and creating a bridge to employment opportunities. What's exciting is that we are beginning to see an increase in the recruitment, employment, and support of people with disabilities for the workplace. Now the challenge becomes creating a pipeline of skilled candidates for these employers. That's where Digitability comes in. We've been able to flip the unemployment statistic and increase employment opportunities for individuals with disabilities. Let's take a quick look at how parts of Digitability are used in the classroom. This high school teacher has a wide range of educational needs in her classroom and uses Digitability's resources to meet her students at their current levels while building capacity incrementally.
Digitability has had a significant impact on my students and been a very valuable tool that I've been able to use within my classroom. I've really loved using Digitability in my classroom because I have students on so many different cognitive levels, ability levels. I have students who are nonverbal, and then I have students who are on a 12th grade reading level. So this has offered me the opportunity to do this program with all of them, whether it's, they're able to verbally express or use PEX cards, write in their answers or trace their answers. All of my students have been able to participate actively. Okay, so if you're double clicking, what are you doing? You're opening your browser. So you're double clicking on the browser icon to open the browser. Fantastic. Awesome. Which one of those do you think is the proper URL? Go ahead, show me which one. Good. You got it.
Oh, heck yeah.
So you might go to www.youtube.com. That's called the, can you say it? URL. Okay. I have one student in particular who I had to repeat things constantly. But through this program, the slower pace and the repetition of even the videos, how it goes over it and then says, and you're able to connect to prior knowledge through each badge. He is one of my ones who, when I do reviews, he is raising his hand every single time, using the vocabulary that we use. Digitability is also offering me a way to connect to all the academic goals. It incorporates reading, writing, math. This program has it all there for me. It's a lot less planning time, but at the same time, I feel like I'm going above and beyond to meet their needs because it is all right there. I'm able to focus more on the lesson rather than all the planning time, and I can even take the tools that I'm given and expand on those. This is not only giving them use of technology, but it's helping them to learn the proper use, the safety of using the computer. I have one student who as we did the interview process, he was not comfortable at all at the thought of getting a job and getting out of his comfort zone. This might help him to learn, I can have a job using computers, using technology, and I can stay in my safe place, but there's other opportunities for different jobs out there.
Schools use Digitability to provide a comprehensive approach to special education learning. While digital literacy serves as the foundation, we use technology as a hook to develop social and communication skills, which are often a barrier to employment. Functional skills like financial literacy help students learn about spending and saving. And of course, Digitability develops employment skills by introducing real-world employment projects we call work simulations. Work simulations are projects that introduce students to a wide range of employment pathways. These employment experiences are personalized to meet students where their current needs and interests are. The process begins by choosing a work simulation project. For example, the class may start a coffee business, learn how to market YouTube videos, perform data entry, and more. These projects can be chosen from Digitability's library of work simulations that have been created in collaboration with our employment partners. They can also be customized based on existing community partners at a school, or a new employment partner introduced by family and friends. After choosing their work simulation project, students are then hired for jobs and begin practicing workplace behavior, managing their tasks, using tech skills for independence, self-advocating, self-regulating, and more. This all results in the development of individualized work-ready portfolios for every student. Each student portfolio includes an online profile that will help students explore employment interest and connect with potential employers. It also allows them to showcase their Digitability work experience. Through Digitability, every student graduates with project samples and develops and practices their talking points about these projects in preparation for the interview process. Now that you have an overview of the Digitability program, let's look at the practices implemented to build the capacity necessary to achieve these results. We'll begin with positive reinforcement, as it will lay the foundation for setting boundaries to teach self-regulation, and later will also be used in teaching workplace communication skills. Positive reinforcement is used to increase a desired behavior with rewards. Rewards can be a verbal phrase alone, or you can also reward learners with a token that can be later exchanged for a meaningful object or privilege. Digitability implements positive reinforcement through our social economy program. In the social economy, students earn virtual Digitability dollars when they exhibit behaviors that will make them successful in the workplace and increase their independence. Educators use the Digitability Dollar Earnings Tracker to manage students' earnings in the classroom, while each student also manages their own earnings. Students then pay bills and purchase rewards. Some classrooms create an economy where they charge per minute to access YouTube. This helps students think about their personal budgets and supports screen time self-regulation. Digitability includes resources to create an at-home social economy system that can support your learners' goals. When used consistently throughout the day, positive reinforcement can increase your learners' ability to increase time on task attendance, increase expressive and receptive language usage, develop new social skills, and much more. In the classroom, educators use Digitability lesson plans to provide scripted positive reinforcement. These phrases are important as they help the teacher stay consistent, helping the student internalize the behavior they are being rewarded for each time. To help families stay consistent, there is a simple formula that can be followed when delivering positive reinforcement. The first step is easy. Use your learner's name. Then define the behavior they have exhibited that you want to reinforce. Finally, deliver the reward, which is also considered a consequence. Here is a classroom example of the positive reinforcement used in Digitability's social economy. The name is used, and the teacher repeats the student's answer. Then, the behavior is identified as participating. Finally, the consequence is delivered, which in Digitability classrooms is the virtual dollar. Let's check out what this looks like in the classroom.
Makes you successful, right? Why do you think? Raise your hand for participation dollar. Joel?
It makes you gain more confidence.
It makes you gain more confidence. I like that answer, Joel. Nice job participating and earning a dollar. Destiny?
It's like when you type up top the white rectangle thingy.
Okay, a long white rectangle thingy.
That's the field.
Okay, that's the field. Great job participating and earning a dollar. I like how you're using some of the language in the video.
Now that you understand how positive reinforcement can be used in the classroom, let's look at ways to implement this at home. You may ask your learner to complete a variety of at-home tasks that can address self-maintenance, encourage language development, or increase socialization skills. You can use the Digitability dollar system, or replace the dollar with another type of token, such as a check mark or stickers on a chart. For example, when your learner follows directions at home, you can say something like, "Marcus, I like how you made your bed today. Nice job following directions." Let's add a following directions token to your chart. Here's another example of a language formula, this time using sharing as the behavior. Eventually, you may also use verbal praise alone as the reinforcer. Consistency is key. You want to remember to use positive reinforcement as frequently as possible, especially when your learner completes tasks independently. You also want to be consistent in the behaviors you choose to describe so they can be repeated. We shared 2 examples using following directions and sharing. Another useful behavior is staying on task to help increase a learner's ability to focus on a task to completion. You may also use positive reinforcement for specific goals such as increasing eye contact or personal advocacy. Positive reinforcement can also be implemented when teaching self-regulation. Through Digitability, students learn self-regulation by meeting the defined boundaries set for them. In the Digitability classroom, teachers set boundaries by setting limits on the number of lessons or badges that can be unlocked during independent practice on the computer. As Digitability is gamified, students may want to continue watching lessons not yet facilitated by the teacher to unlock and earn more badges. If a student self-regulates their impulse to continue, they will earn a Digitability dollar for each badge assigned and completed. However, if they do not stop at the appropriate lesson, they can be charged a fee of $1 per badge. Self-regulation needs can be unique for each student. Digitability addresses common behaviors where students will need to develop self-regulation skills in order to obtain and sustain focus and success in the workplace. Your learner may have preferred activities at home such as spending time on their device, watching videos, or playing games. Or they may perseverate on certain topics like trains or animals. They may also have self-stimulatory behaviors or trouble with transitioning to a non-preferred task. These behaviors can be perceived as problematic in the workplace and can interfere with an individual successfully completing the employment task. Let's look at a few strategies to help prepare learners for the social and communication expectations of the workplace. Setting limits for screen time is important for the social-emotional learning process. This can be difficult for learners at first. Start with small incremental change, reducing the amount of time gradually. Both online and offline versions of the Digitability Setting Screen Time Boundaries template can help educators and families collaborate by establishing healthy screen time boundaries and reinforcing students when they successfully self-regulate. When a learner focuses on a preferred topic, they may make off-topic comments. This could be perceived as problematic, as it may indicate that the learner is not focused on the expected task or topic. Using the same positive reinforcement language formulas, identify this behavior and redirect the learner to the current topic or describe the replacement behavior. Defining replacement behaviors can also help learners self-advocate when they have self-stimulatory behaviors. For example, in the workplace, individuals may need to leave their work area, taking a break to self-stimulate and then return to their work task. Students can learn self-advocacy for this need and include it in their Digitability Workplace Self-Advocacy Plan, developed in Level 4. In the workplace, learners may be asked to transition to a new task by their supervisor. This can provoke anxiety. While this transition request may feel uncomfortable, the ability to follow directions in the workplace is essential for being successful and sustaining employment. To teach this behavior early on, introduce phrases that reinforce being flexible. Remember, provide the feedback immediately to your learner when they demonstrate self-regulation. Positive reinforcement and self-regulation are both a part of teaching workplace behavior. By now, you are familiar with how Digitability uses virtual dollars as token reinforcers. We call this system the Digitability Social Economy. There are 4 levels to the social economy, which are all designed to develop both workplace behavior and financial literacy. Digitability's classroom social economy provides students with opportunities for practicing problem solving, time management, decision-making, self-advocacy, and more. Through the Digitability social economy, students learn to define behaviors, identify their personal experiences with them, role-play these behaviors, and complete a self-inventory to understand which behaviors they need to work on. Then, in Digitability's work simulation projects, where students get hired for jobs and build their work-ready portfolio, they are able to practice strengthening these skills. While Digitability includes a variety of training activities to develop workplace communication, we'll focus on an exercise to practice giving and receiving feedback. This activity begins with a student giving a short presentation where they describe the process for completing an assignment. Students work toward presenting continuously while thinking about their process, speech, and body language, such as making eye contact with their peers. Once the speaker has completed their presentation, their peers are each expected to give structured feedback. First, they explain one thing they enjoyed about the presentation and then ask the presenter a question. This means that students will need to practice attending to the presenter, listening carefully in order to provide their feedback. This process, over time, can strengthen critical thinking, as well as language development as students plan their feedback. The last step of this communication activity involves the presenter strengthening their auditory processing and comprehension skills by interpreting their peer-given feedback and answering questions. The goal is to shift the communication dynamic of the classroom, where socialization is student-driven instead of being teacher-led. It is important to note that this activity has a variety of adapted materials to help develop communication for a wide range of needs, including those with limited communication skills. Let's look at a classroom example being facilitated in a virtual environment.
We're ready.
You good? Yeah, Beck's ready. All right,
Ready.
so we have our CFOs here ready to record any money that you're going to earn this lesson, okay? 4, a participation dollar. Who can tell me what does personal information mean? Chris M., first tell us your sentence. What do you have there? Read that for us.
Oh, dear. I can use my Safari browser to search up what I'm looking for.
Okay, Kevin, can you give him some feedback? I'll put the feedback sheet up here for you.
I like that how he spoke with his sentence.
Okay, and Chris M., what was his feedback for you?
He liked the way I spoke my sentence.
Right, and you tell him thank you. Say thank you.
Thank you.
Did Yanni earn?
How many do you have for Yanni? I have 3.
Okay.
I have 3.
$3.
I gave everyone for the thumbs
That
up.
sounds good to me.
Okay. All right. How about for Justin? How many dollars did Justin earn?
5.
Yes, I had 4, so I didn't get some. All right.
Okay. And how many did Kevin earn?
Kevin also got 5.
Good job.
And Beck got 2.
Back with 2. All right. All
Good
right.
job, guys.
Time on our next live lesson for Digitability. Okay.
Yeah, this is good. This is fun.
You can facilitate this same activity at home in your living room or kitchen using Digitability at-home resources and completed student assignments. This is a great way to be actively involved in your learner's skill development and to stay connected to what your learner is doing at school. If your school is already licensed to use Digitability, families will have access to a library of additional resources to support your learner at home. Be sure to request your learner's login information, the Quick Start Guide for families, student progress reports throughout the year, and data collection tools that can be used at home. If your school is not yet participating in the Digitability program, you can share our program materials with your school. These materials are available on our website at digitability.com. To access and receive updates on all free parent resources, sign up for our newsletter by visiting our website at digitability.com and clicking on Newsletter from the menu bar. Thank you for joining Digitability. We love feedback and use it to help create stronger programming for our communities. Please complete the 3-question survey posted in the chat room. We look forward to answering your questions.
Hi everyone, this is Michelle with Digitability. I'm happy to start answering any questions that you might have about the evidence-based practices or any of the information that was in this webinar. Please post your questions in the chat that's located on the YouTube page, and I will go ahead and begin answering them. We did have a couple questions already. Thank you so much for posting them. One of the questions was, will there be discounts considering what's happening with our crisis situation with COVID? And right now, Digitability is offering special COVID licenses to any school or organization. And this is to help teachers and educators work together during this process and then continue that program throughout the school year when students are back in the classroom. There was also a question about how teachers can use this program remotely. As you saw in the one video sample, there was a teacher using Zoom recently due to the COVID situation. who had her students join with their video. And she facilitated the activity, which we call an exit ticket, where students practice giving workplace feedback. She used a flip model, so her students actually watched some of the Digitability videos before joining their Zoom. So the Zoom session was actually focused on the expressive and receptive language and the workplace communication. So another question is how the program is priced. We work with schools and organizations to provide license packages that meet their needs. Typically, we license a classroom. So the teacher would receive a license and then she would utilize the program with her entire classroom. And all of the materials in the program are differentiated and adapted so that we can meet a wide range of needs. And during this webinar, we mentioned a couple of those resources. Everybody who registered for this webinar will receive an email next week with the archive of this video, as well as those resources. And these resources are also being adapted so that you can use them at home, but you can also share them with your child's educator, your learner's educator. Again, feel free to post your questions into the chat located on the YouTube page. We've also at Digitability posted some additional resources on our website. We send them out weekly during this time so that parents can stay updated on special education news regarding COVID, resources that we're getting feedback from families and educators and saying there's a need for. So if you sign up for our newsletter, we'll be sending those out every week with additional webinar opportunities like this, as well as those free resources that can be downloaded and used at home. Great, another question is about the age range for this program. So Digitability works mainly in middle school, high school, and adult programs. The reason for that is those are the ages when students begin focusing on their transition plan. In most states, that's 14 to 22, with some variations on those age ranges. Then often there are students who exit the public school system and are no longer receiving school services through their schools. That's when service providing agencies will also provide some additional work-ready training. So we do work with a variety of types of organizations. So another question from a current user of Digitability is asking about moving around in the lessons. There are adapted pathways that you can implement with your teachers. This is something that is done with your implementation coach based on the needs in your classroom. So that every teacher gets assigned an implementation coach when they use Digitability, and the implementation coach starts with every teacher during their initial training and then works with them throughout the school year to understand the specific needs in their classroom and unlock the different evidence-based practices to support those student needs, some of which we covered in this webinar. And yes, Jessica, in the future, we'll be doing more with the technology to create custom pathways, but there are still ways currently that we can adapt that programming. We still need to have a structured scope and sequence to make sure that we're developing the foundation of need that the students most frequently present with, because the curriculum is designed to meet students at their current levels, but build capacity so that the skill sets are really generalizing. The last thing we want to do is provide sort of an ad hoc training process where students aren't internalizing the concepts. So we do have, there was a question about an IEP, sample IEP goals. We offer on our website a couple of those samples. So if teachers or parents are looking for some sample IEP goals that are related to transition, digital literacy, workplace behavior, you can find that on our website. However, embedded in the program are additional goals, and all of the IEP goals are streamlined into the curriculum with easy-to-use assessments and tools. So often, special education teachers have a lot of responsibilities, and progress monitoring and planning can be very time consuming. So through our program, and as a team of former educators and individuals with neurodiversity, we wanted to make the process as streamlined and as easy to implement as possible in order to help reduce teacher planning time and progress monitoring time so they can really focus on the individual needs of their students. And we can actually, since we're sharing some free resources that everybody will get next week, we can send some of those sample IEP goals and some of those assessment tools. We also mentioned some online and offline versions. For example, in the self-regulation portion of the webinar, we talked about having a spreadsheet so that teachers and families can work together on some behaviors like self-regulating around screen time, where you can sort of track the amount of time that students are spending, or tracking their ability to self-regulate using the dollar system or some other type of reinforcer. So all of those things will be included, and we'll also provide some easy to follow instructions. And if anybody has questions, you can always contact us at info@digitability.com. So there is a question about state assessments. Let me just read it real quick. So the question is, do these materials align to some of the standard state assessments, or is it more geared towards students who take the alternative assessment? The answer is that it's both, and it usually depends on the school district's plan for transition and the population they're looking to serve. So an earlier question was about how schools and students can move through the program. And again, this is done as part of a consultation process with the implementation coach based on student need, because we do want to make sure that we're preserving the integrity of the program. But for those students who are taking the alternative assessment, they really do benefit from the structure and the scripting and the repetition, things that Dawn, the teacher using the program, sort of mentioned. With the other kind of standard state assessments, the population of students who would be more aligned to that pathway, we accelerate their engagement in the program to focus on those work simulation activities that we described, where they pick a project, they get hired, and they begin to work together to problem solve and communicate, and to really focus on developing that portfolio to showcase their work experience. But again, that is done based on the school's identified needs and the needs of the students. And so again, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to post them in the chat on the YouTube page. If I've missed any questions, also, please feel free to repost them or to clarify if you need more detail. And so it doesn't look like we have any other questions. Again, you can visit our website at digitability.com to learn a little bit more about the program. If you subscribe to our newsletter, we'll have some ongoing professional development opportunities and additional at-home resources for families. And we will be sending this archive, so please feel free to share it next week with your community along with those free resources. And again, we do appreciate and love feedback. We request it from our teachers, our administrators, families. So we do have the survey. It's really short. It's about 3 questions. You can, I think we're going to post that into the chat again, and we'll also send it out via email when we send all of these webinar resources. And if there's any type of topic that you are interested in learning more about regarding work readiness, workplace behavior, digital literacy, or just how families can engage with their learner at home in order to help them prepare for their transition, please feel free to add that feedback so that we can identify really useful topics that will benefit our community. And I believe that survey form has just been posted into the chat by our team. And I'll just wait 1 more minute in case any other questions come up, and then we'll wrap up this webinar. Great, and so thank you all for attending. We'll also include the questions that came up in this chat during the webinar in those follow-up resources for your reference. And again, please feel free to reach out to us if you do have any other questions at info@digitability.com. Thank you again all for attending, and we look forward to hearing from you.